tonight.
Okay, you're on.
Perfect. Okay, so as part of the discussion that we're gonna have today, kind of the first part, it's should we fire? And sorry, I'm just gonna butcher the name, Stepanik or whatever his name. So just imagine you're Menton, and it's time for your 9 a.m. meeting with Evans and Harris. What position would you advocate in that meeting?
As far as the firing of this Stepident,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say firing.
Oh, crap. Sorry. Just exit out of there, I think.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh man, I'm trying to remember what we even read about.
So we read the workplace safety.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yep, I remember. Sorry, it's coming back.
So just talk about how this aluminum company had some issues with safety and how they increased their safety over a period of time, and how they feared that by having a stronger safety, they will also kind of diminish the results. So you guys think it should fire?
Well, for me, in the reading of it and stuff, he's well liked here by everybody. He's like a second or third generation person that's worked there, but he's had numerous occasions where he's been told to not do things, not do shortcuts and stuff, and he just never complies. And so, on that basis, I would say yes.
So, kind of going along with that, what did Stepanik actually do, and how serious was the offense?
You want me to say it again?
What did he do? What did he actually do, and how serious was that?
Well, he gave someone instructions to do some work, electrician, in which he got injured. He got burned on his arm and stuff because he had to reach over some pipe or something, and I guess he kind of put the electrician in a kind of a semi-hazardous situation, tell him to do some work when maybe it could have been looked and done a different way.
Yeah, so he always took kind of the shortcut guy.
Yeah.
Was that Stepanik's fault?
Well, I mean, the
Supervisor.
electrician could have, said, "Hey, I'm not going to do it because it's unsafe." So I don't know. They both should probably have some fault on it.
Yeah, I don't think it was entirely his fault. However, mainly, like, if you bring anyone working to your company, you usually have to take care of them somehow, right?
Yeah, and some of in the reading and stuff, some of the attitude was, well, the supervisors, if you don't do it for them, they'll find somebody else that will, and kind of the sidestep safety in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So supervisors take some responsibility.
Okay, so what do you guys think would be the implications for workers, family, supervisor, or senior management if he is fired?
There's always somebody that can take his place.
Yeah, I think it would be
Well,
not
I
that it
think-
would be a good thing, but go
Everyone
ahead,
gets
Jesse.
kind of
I was going to say in this case, I mean, Conan is right. I mean, there's always somebody, especially in a company that big, that's going to be able to step up and take the place. But with him getting fired, what's going to happen is they're going to improve the way training is, or something's going to happen safety-wise, so something like that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, there you go. That's kind of what I was wanted to get to. If there's constant issues in the workplace, what specifically with safety, and someone gets fired because they have ignored safety procedures, chances are they won't try to do it again, because they will be fearful that they will be fired because of it.
Well, and employees want to work in a safe environment, right? I mean, what do they care who their boss is, as long as their boss has their best interest? He doesn't have their best interest in mind, right? He said, well, if you don't do it, somebody else will, right? I'm sure that causes a lot of resentment and a long list of other issues that he's causing by putting them in harm's way. It could be that the employees and other things don't respect him and probably perform and act differently because of it. But
Yeah.
Employees want to work in a safe place. They want to be able to have long careers and make it home and all those other things. So I'm sure that people would support the change.
Assuming that he does get fired, because he's not some of the only employers or supervisors that don't treat safety kind of on the most important way, would it be fair for him to be fired while everyone does do the same kind of thing? Because all supervisors don't put the emphasis in safety, right? So would it be fair for him to be fired?
Obviously, he's setting a standard that it doesn't matter. Another supervisor would set a different standard and set a different tone for people to follow. They're only doing that because that's his philosophy, that's his attitude, so they go along with it.
I think when it gets to that point, it's like you almost have to hire someone else so you can implement the new system, and it's really hard to get someone out of their old habits, especially when it's something that serious. But if you can get a new supervisor who's going to implement those safety procedures and start putting them into practice, maybe other people that maybe aren't as aren't in that habit of breaking safety procedures will be able to follow the new supervisor's example, if that makes sense.
It does. I do agree with that, because once they don't take you seriously, it's hard for everyone to all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're going to take you seriously now.
Right.
Well, they're saying that danger is the rite of passage, right? So there's certainly this kind of macho philosophy mentality going around instead of a safe mentality.
Well, the other thing is manager being neglectful, and that's what they're going to look at is neglect. That he didn't stand up for what he was supposed to do, or he had somebody do something that was against policy, so they're going to use him as the guinea pig for everyone else to be able to look at and say, we don't want this done anymore. This is what's going to happen to you if you don't follow procedure. So they're just going to use him as an example.
Yeah, a lot of times it's the attitude that might be prevailing throughout the company because it's happened for so long.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're ready to move on to the second part. And this part's kind of titled, what does the data show? On this part, we're supposed to be in groups. So there's supposed to be 3 groups within our group, I guess. So who wants to be in the first group? I need 2 people on it.
Just decide, Mario.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Greg and Anna, can you guys be in group 1?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what you guys gotta do, okay? You gotta compare exhibits 3 and 7 on this case study.
Okay.
So I think, let me check just really quick. I believe 7 is,
7's on serious injuries by production department.
that's right, and the other one is the type of injuries that there are. I believe.
Total production.
Yep, that's right, total production. So what you're gonna do, it's you're gonna see if you're gonna try to answer this question. When safety improves, does production decrease?
No.
So just go for it and try to check on those exhibits kind of by year and see how production increases and how safety decreases, if that makes sense, because it's less incidents. So the smaller the number, the more productive is the plant, and the smaller the number for safety, it's the best safety because it's the less incidents. Does that make sense?
Well, sure. I mean, and it's limited. I mean, it overall the total works average it went down, but they show it in years and then they go to months.
Okay, so you guys are gonna have like 2 minutes to review it.
Okay.
Let's do 5 minutes, and then Jay, do you want to do like, or what's that, Anna?
I don't have a computer. I'm doing this from my phone.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
Sorry.
Okay. We'll left you a little out, I guess, but it's fine.
Okay.
So Craig, could you do those two?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, and Jay, can you'll be group 2, I guess. If you look in Exhibit 5, figure out which injury numbers are improving, meaning going down, and which are going up. And if you can categorize the types of injuries, and just be prepared to kind of present that. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jesse, if you look at Exhibit 6, go through the list of sample injuries and look at common themes or kind of like the same injury a couple times kind of thing.
Okay.
And just tell us what can you learn about safety at Mission Valley from this list. And if you guys want to just take like just a couple minutes, and as soon as you're ready, you can let me know.
I'll give you a quick one on ours, Mario.
Okay.
I mean, it looks at on exhibit 3. It kind of it's by hours. So there's a lot of hours, but it looks like if I take the last column, it is safety improved, production went up. But in some of the situations, reading this the paper, that's what happened. I mean, they had like the forklift issue was one thing that they talked about in there but in general, as safety improved, production went up a little bit. I mean, some of these little categories in the total percentage didn't change much or went up a little bit. Should have gone down, but on average, it looks like as a company overall that's what happened.
Do you think that's maybe because of like morale, like improving too? Because like you said, like people like to feel safe, in their environment, in their workplace. Do you think that because they like maybe started talking about safety more and made it more safe, that people, I don't know, got maybe a better attitude? This is completely just like a question, not really a right answer, but it's just interesting to think about.
I think so. I mean, one of the things on there is like I think Jay even mentioned, it's kind of like a macho mentality. It's like you have to be tough to work there. It's working. It's hot, and injuries are like a rite of passage. It's part of the job. You're not a guy if you don't get injured or something. Where then started having more safety things. Was it Linda Mercer, whatever her name was implementing all these safety rules, new things and ways to make, I guess, people be more personally responsible for their own safety. But I thought it was interesting when on that forklift thing where they're running around at 11, 15 miles an hour inside whatever the warehouse or facility was, and then when they put a governor on to make them go 4 miles an hour, and a lot of them complained. And the main reason they were complaining is they thought other divisions would think that they were, um, it came across funny or something to them and stuff. When they started saying, no, this is company wide, and then it showed after they did that how much better. I mean, they didn't have to, the forklifts were maintained, and they didn't have to run out because they're broken down. They lasted longer running. So, but in general, when safety improved, the production increased, which they might have thought was not the way it would work originally.
Also, like production was increased because people would not take leaves to recover from their injuries, so they work more hours. So the overall time worked increased because they were not being injured all the time.
That's true.
Okay,
So I don't know how this company's work, but for our business, the number one expense is workers' comp insurance. So depending on how many workers' comp claims, how serious they are, depends on how much insurance premiums you have to pay, and it's pretty crazy. Like for us, if you're like a 1 or 2 tier, which is not a lot of injuries, you'll pay $4,000 or $5,000. If you have 3 or 4, you'll pay $28,000.
Wow.
So a huge. I mean, they don't give us those numbers, but who knows what insurance premium and stuff were there at that time. But for us, anytime we have even a tiny little injury, it has a massive financial implications for us. We're talking $30,000 a month just in insurance, just because of 3 or 4 people have minor injuries. So anytime work is lost, the insurance companies really hike up the premiums, and they may not mention that here, but for us, that's one of our number one things that we constantly think about is why safety is so important, because there's so much money that goes out, and it's not an investment. It's just gone.
That's crazy.
Well, it's just like for me, I work for Sam's Club, and so for them, their insurance policies are a little bit different. They are charged per accident. So if an employee gets hurt, it's $18,000 automatic.
Wow.
Every time an employee has an accident, it's $25,000 per member if a member has an accident, and that's how they have it set up. So they don't pay monthly premiums; they pay by accident.
That's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
And not only
average
that,
claim is about $30,000. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Not only that, and if they're like actually damaging property too, that's that money as well. Because somewhere I work, safety is super important, and that was one of the reasons. Is because if you like crash something, that's like a few $1,000s. And so like obviously people are important, but they're also dealing with that too.
Okay, so Jay, as far as the Exhibit 5, what was the categories there?
It's a little misleading, and I'm not doing any calculations at the moment, but I'm looking at the top here, and it says total of serious injuries. And to kind of give you an idea, in 1987 you have 320 injuries. In 98, just shy of 300. By 1990 it came down to about low 2s, and then by 1991 it was 18. So huge changes in serious injury claims, but also down at the bottom it talked about hours worked per department, and it looked like they were a lot busier in 1981 by a considerable amount. Hours worked like 7,400,000 compared to what was it 660 or something like that, or 7 million. It was a huge difference. So obviously the more hours you work, the more opportunity for injury there is there. But if you're not looking at that, then it was a pretty significant change in just 4 years. you know, I don't know, 80% decrease or something. Actually, more than that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, we're gonna get a little more of an idea when Jesse explains his too. So,
Okay.
are you? Do you have anything else, Jay?
No, it was like I said, it was hard. The numbers were a little bit misleading. They look really, really good if you just look at the numbers as, you know, wow, they went from 320 injuries in 1987 to 18 serious injuries in 1991. But their total hours worked was dramatically different also. So I think it
Yeah,
would take a
that's
little
an
bit longer
interesting
to
point.
figure out.
I didn't thought of that. I just saw that and I was like, man, that's a significant improvement there. But now once you told me, I want to look it up, and yeah, the hours worked are significantly less as well.
Yeah, 1987 production total hours worked 185.4 compared to 19.4. So they're probably pretty close. I mean, maybe a small reduction, but until you actually did the calculations, you wouldn't really know.
Yeah. Okay, and Jesse. So from looking at the Exhibit 6, um, can you tell us kind of like the sample injuries and
From what I see there, they're reporting 13 injuries in 3 weeks, and so out of those 13 injuries, there were 8 of them that were due to slip and falls, and 3 of those created burns. There was 5 of them that created actual like broken toes or a broken finger, or I think 1 broken arm or a leg. So there's from what I see there, the majority of it has to do with what kind of shoes they're wearing. Would be my assumption.
okay. Yeah. Okay, so are you guys surprised how by improving the safety of the place, it actually increased um, the productivity as well in the long run?
Not surprised, but
I'm not surprised either. But
But I mean,
makes
I was at
sense.
first, but then when you factor in more hours work, more productivity, it makes sense.
Now there's another exhibit, Exhibit 7, says total hours average, and then entries are a number of serious injuries per 200,000 hours worked. So for every 200,000 hours worked, it gives you another number. And there was a small reduction at smelting, actually a significant reduction at smelting, but all the other plants didn't have that much of a change in 4 years.
Yeah. So like we should see that as safety goes down, the number of hours to produce a ton of aluminum also go down. So if we look in the thing, and it makes sense, like as safety goes down, more people it's injured, and more people take days off and things like that. So productivity goes down. But if there's a little more safety, productivity goes also up, because in the long run there's more people working, which they're producing more. So
Yeah, you're not spending more time hiring people, replacing the people who are injured, training those people. Those people aren't going to be as efficient as somebody that was working there for a long time that was injured. There's a lot of factors.
yeah. So with the forklift, there's a lot of people that thought that because going so slow, productivity was going to decrease, and as with the data shows that productivity went up, and I think it makes total sense, especially with the fact that they didn't have to do maintenance as much in the machines. We had my parents, my dad specifically had this business where he had 2 trucks, and they were just transporting trucks for like different materials and stuff. And one of the trucks got broken all the time. Like, every 2 weeks there's some sort of repair that the truck had, and after a little while the driver for that truck quit, and we hired another person. And after the new person started driving the truck had to, just regular maintenance instead of repairs. And we noticed that the other driver was a little dirty in the way he drove. So by switching the driver, or like maintenance cost and repair cost went way down, just because he was much more careful about driving than the other guy.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Hot rodding that thing, huh?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it's not yours, they don't care.
Had a few of those jobs.
So this is kind of a behavioral question. What do you guys think it's easiest to solve as far as problems? The problems that are expensive, or the problems that involves people's behaviors?
Which one's more difficult?
Yeah.
What you said? I would say like long-term more difficult, probably the behaviors, especially if they're very set in their ways. Because I feel like it's, as long as you have the money for it, it's very easy just to like pay. It's very easy to just like spend money and pay for people to not get hurt. But you know what I mean. But yeah, I think it's harder to change behavior because you have to implement that safety procedure, and then you have to keep reteaching it, like redundancy, to get it into people's heads. So I'd probably say that's more difficult, but I don't know.
Yeah, I go along with that. Just kind of as an example, Jason said that most of the injuries were related to people not wearing the right shoes for the job. So imagine that the company buys everyone new shoes to wear, like nice boots that are anti-slip boots, but no one wears them because no one cares.
Right.
That would be a pretty good example of like just putting up some money but not fixing the behavior.
Not fixing the actual problem.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Behavior for sure.
Okay. So
Yeah, I would agree.
Got my 2 cents.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that.
What has Mission Valley done in the past to improve its safety record so much that they have a few serious injuries compared to other similar companies?
What did that company do specifically?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
They start having sittings.
Mm. Are you talking about the 8-step approach?
That's right. That's exactly
That's
what I'm
right.
talking about.
I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Yeah, it's Exhibit 8.
So,
I would say it looks like to me that they started recognizing where all these issues were coming from, and they started working on them.
It's true.
I think that's one of the first steps of their approach, right? The recognition of the problem.
Right.
And I think the fact that they didn't, because I said that they were worried about other people kind of judging them for going so slowly, but they implemented it not just in one department, but they did it in every department. So it was like a company-wide thing. Right.
Yeah.
yeah, and they followed a system, right? They had a good system. They followed it. Held people accountable, probably.
Yeah, because number 7 right here says worker training, and I think that tends to be one of the bigger issues in making sure that everybody gets the right training.
And then reinforce. I mean, just because they have one meeting, they won't remember. It's got to be continual.
Yeah.
I think that's what helped them
that's right.
change the behavioral problem. That it was not a one-time thing. It was constant improvement upon those things that they set up at first.
Mm.
you guys are gonna laugh at this, but like redundancy and repetitiveness is so important because I even remember a place I worked at. It was actually at Disney, and their very first like principle, I guess, was safety begins with me, and I still remember it. And I still remember like the slogan and like the rules because they like implemented it so much into training and like every day. So like just like redundancy and repetitiveness and having that same standard throughout the whole company that's kind of the key to it.
Yeah, I don't remember where I saw it, but there was research done on Disney and how many people go through the park every year and how many deaths they have, and it's so low, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's so low. They have like different stages, and like depending on what stage you're at, you like drop certain things. So like like putting on a show, kind of being in character, that's like the first thing that drops if like crisis hits, and safety is the very very like core one that you never ever drop. Even if you have to be rude, that one never drops.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a implementation of plan, and on that one it was kind of like they identify hazards, prioritize hazards, and classify hazards, and then they do determine the cost and seeing ways to improve it so that there wasn't any accidents anymore, and then they check to see if those things have been done the way, and they act again if those things weren't implemented as well as they should have. So they had a pretty good implementation process, which allowed them to improve their safety in a very significant way. So we kind of want to, as far as these questions go, we talked about the specific things that they did as far as the planning and all that stuff. This question is kind of interesting. Will doing more of these things help them move the rest of the way towards their goal, which is like better safety?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said. Like a lot of repetition does get to everyone. Okay, so here's a question though. What will the challenges be in the future? So now that they're doing all these things, what challenges do you guys foresee for the company to have?
They might think that they've, solved all the problems and start getting a little laxed again, or they have to constantly
That's what I was going to say, is they're going to get relaxed about the policies or something, because if they're getting implemented a long time, people just will start getting relaxed about it.
Yeah, it could be also that as their business changes, they may not adapt to how that business or how their production or whatever changes too. You'd hope it would, but that could be it.
Yeah, if they don't have some
safety manuals are 20 years old, right? And you're like, none of this is relevant today.
Yeah, if they don't have some kind of annual training or quarterly, whatever it is, then things are going to start falling through the cracks.
I think one thing they said every 6 months they take a day for training or something. So, but you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink.
Try it.
You can drown him.
That went 0 to 100 real fast.
You will do this.
So how do you guys convince people to behave differently in your line of work or whatever you...
Good question.
I think, I don't know, this is kind of like half answering it because it's not really an answer, but I'm going to say it anyway. But you have to make them want to themselves, because I mean, like, yeah, you can like make it required and everything, but if they don't see the importance of it themselves, then they're not going to want to do it. So you have to kind of show them the why, like why these are maybe new policies and why they're implementing them now and why it's important. Otherwise, I don't think a lot of people would really care, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I'm not saying this is the reason for all injuries or when things go wrong, but a lot of times employees will cut corners to make either their job more easy or to appear more productive. So making sure that they have all the tools, that they have the support, that they need to be able to be successful and not have to worry about doing things, a certain way. Providing enough support where they don't feel like they have to cut a corner to get the job done. Right? I'm not saying that's things happen. Accidents are called accidents for a reason, but usually the root of it is, I was running because I had to get this done really fast, right? Or I was doing this because I didn't want to wait for somebody else to help me, right? Oftentimes it's because they don't have all the tools necessary or the support to help them do that. Or you've created this sense of urgency of get it done, fast, regardless of you just always want to be the best, or you want to push them more and more, maybe keeping goals and other things into perspective.
That's a very good point.
So we talked about how the culture at this place was like a macho culture. Like if you don't get hurt, you're not doing your job right. How can we address a culture embedded in a strong community and history? So how can we change that into like, well, guys, this is not true. Safety is first. What would you guys try to do?
Maybe reward people who practice safe practices, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who are doing their job well and maintaining equipment and other things, you reward them. It doesn't have to be a huge reward, but
Recognition.
Recognize that.
Recognition, yeah.
Would you guys say that it would be worth to, as well as recognition, there's like punishment or things like that if you do something wrong, well, you get fired or other things?
Yeah, that's kind of a gray area, because you can't, if somebody gets injured, you can't fire them regardless of what they did, right? I mean, they become almost a protected class at that point, right? So that will bring on some, at least in California, I don't know about Idaho or Utah, but if somebody gets hurt, regardless if they didn't look at any of the rules and they got hurt, it's still your fault. It's still the employer's responsibility, and you have to maintain their position until they come back. So I don't know what it's like in Utah. I don't know what it's like in Idaho, but it's difficult to hold people accountable. You can write them up and you can do all that stuff, and if they show a pattern of continuously ignoring those safety procedures, then you can let them go. But if it's one thing or two things unrelated, then for me it becomes very difficult. Like I said, I don't know about other states, but
it would have to be a case-by-case thing, I think.
It kind of goes with the things that you gotta do in order to have them do like a verbal warning, and then like a written warning, and then like suspension, and then dismissal kind of thing.
Yeah.
That most employers have to do before they actually do anything.
And it could be if you've done something to hurt somebody else, right? If you're neglectful and it resulted in an injury of another person, I think that's something else. I think you could hold them accountable in a little more serious way.
Yeah. So the next question is like, do you guys follow safety procedures? Like at your place, like do you wear your seatbelts? You avoid texting in dangerous places. You do crosswalks or just jaywalk. Use a ladder instead of a chair. And do you drive at the speed limit?
And I see that every time I go one way or the other.
Now, which ones? I was going to say, yes. Which ones did you want a yes on?
Right, because now we're talking about how people should have done this, or like shouldn't wear like more proper shoes. But it's kind of hard because in our own lives we often avoid or don't obey those rules at all, just because we either have to get we're late and we gotta go to work faster or things like that. So it's kind of a neat thing to think about, just on as far as safety goes. Like sometimes us in our own life we don't follow the safety procedures that we should.
I speed to work, but after that, I'm totally safe.
Well,
I
it
had-
costs like $75 to jaywalk here, so you don't do that.
Holy cow!
I had a boss
Really?
one. I had a boss once that told me. He always told me every time, because I was a parts runner for him, and he told me all the time. He's like, "Take your time getting there, but hurry back." That was always what he said. Didn't matter how fast, how long it took you to get there, but he wanted you back as fast as you could get back there.
It's funny.
Interesting. Yeah,
Alright, well, I have actually got to go.
yeah, that's fine, Anna.
But, okay, sorry.
No, they're good.
But I will work on the doohickey thing. And, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
See you,
no
Anna.
problem. See you guys later.
See ya.
I think a lot of things we just get so accustomed to what we are used to doing, and sometimes we just we forget to be safe. Not even realizing it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
There's things that I've done that I knew that I probably shouldn't have, but I did anyway. Because there was like no other way to do it.
I think it's dependent on what industry or I've worked in. Now that I work in the healthcare industry, I'm around a lot of sick people and diseases and viruses. I take it very, very seriously and follow those safety precautions, because I mean, essentially my life and other people's lives depend upon it. When I worked in a restaurant, right, I definitely cut corners because I felt like it wasn't all that important, right? But I think it depends on what you're doing and the perspective and stuff that you have. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's important to follow the procedures, especially when it's not like they don't matter sometimes, like you say, Jay. They matter all the time. I mean, they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
But they're there to protect you ultimately, and that's what if you cut corners, or if you ignore the procedures, that's what they might come back to you and kind of bite you in the butt if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the questions here, it's to ask you on ways in which you guys think that the culture at Mission Valley could be improved.
It'll take a long time to change what's been there for years. They've made some good headway and stuff, but it's just constantly monitoring what they've done and seeing how it works, and maybe tweaking it here and there over years. Who knows how long it'll take until the next generation comes through and works there.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job as far as everything they did, like reducing the speed limit on the forklift and promoting more safety than before. But I think the culture and the behavior, it's what it's ultimately the goal to change. And I think so far they did pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part to change.
Right.
So this is just the wrap-up part. What did you guys learn from this, and how can you apply this to your workplaces?
I think just going back and making sure that you have a policy or procedure for everything, right? And if somebody does get hurt, taking the time to evaluate the situation and research the situation and see if it's something that could have been avoided, and then implementing the plan and doing that 8-step, uh, figuring out the root cause of it, do analysis on what needs to be done to fix it, and then monitor that. But I think just taking the time to look at injuries and other things that are a continuous problem, and making sure that there's proper training.
Yeah, from what I've seen, probably most injuries that have ever happened, once they happen, somebody always makes a policy afterwards. Sometimes hindsight's better than foresight. So unfortunately, most of our safety regulations have come because somebody else already got hurt, and now we're trying to, you're trying to figure out how to fix it. So it's tough to look forward to think about how you can change something until somebody gets hurt.
Well, that's why we have OSHA now.
Yeah,
that's right. So now everybody goes deaf and blind.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on different locations where there's even a safety monitor on the job, and still you see things happening that people just don't take seriously, I guess is the best way to say it. But I've worked for companies where every Monday morning was a safety. First step was a safety meeting. I mean, now I'm on my. I mean, I work for a company. I work for 3M, but I'm out on my own. I'm a sales rep. I go all over, but so I really don't have anyone to report to other than just staying to the speed limit and signaling when I change lanes.
And wear your seatbelt.
I do wear my seatbelt. Yes, I do.
It's a heavy fine here.
I even have a Bluetooth. I don't, to talk in California, you can't put the phone up to your ear.
I think, isn't it nationwide hands-free now?
Yeah, I don't know.
Not everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
I was going to say we have too much open country to have that here.
just not enough cops. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just I'm supposed to ask you guys to rate the overall quality of our discussion today from 0 to 10.
11.
Yeah, I think it's been really good.
At least a 9.99.
Good. And I'm supposed to ask what did I did good as a discussion leader, and what kind of improved as well.
Kept the discussion going, good, and filled in the rest of our responses when they weren't maybe adequate. So you did well.
Yeah, you had a good flow of how you asked questions, and you allowed us to give our thoughts and opinions, and allowed us to speak before moving on, but you did it quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, I think you kept us on time, from what I can see. So.
Perfect.
And you're prepared.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you, and looks like we should be good now. So if you want to take us out of air, Craig.
Okay.